And welcome everyone to today's virtual workshop. Don't you love it? You can do this in your pajamas wherever you're at. You didn't have to travel, and you get the advantage of all of the stuff that we're going to give you today right from your fuzzy pajamas. We are talking today about the perfect customer life cycle, and or as Matt prefers to call it, easily drive more customers and double the value of your existing customers today. Is that good? Are you guys ready for that? I love it, Matt. So let me first introduce my co-host for today, Matt Vosberg, who I know through the partner program at Infusionsoft. Matt has been involved in marketing consulting for over 20 years, Matt. We shouldn't tell our ages, right? But that kind of helps.
It's crazy to think that, 20 years ago, I was doing anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's crazy to think 20 years ago, I already had kids. So that's, that's the part that's really crazy.
It just goes faster from there.
I know, doesn't it? So Matt and I are going to talk today about all the different amazing things that we've helped customers in the process of setting up what we want to be a constant flow of the right customers. Too many times I see clients that are hunting and killing and then starting all over again. And so we're going to talk about, Matt calls that survival marketing. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. We're going to talk about all the different things that we want to set up to make sure, and I'm going to find my notes here, Matt, because they disappeared when I pulled your screen up. So when the survival marketing, so that we're not stuck in survival marketing, we're in a mode where we're just constantly feeding what's going on. We want to identify the commonalities in the people who just survive, those that are stuck in that mode. Discover the patterns of success. What if we could help you find the formula that makes other people successful? Is that something that would be of value to you? I'm sure. And what if we can make this easier for you? So that's what we're going to do today. And I'm going to turn it over to Matt to get going, and we're going to go back and forth as we go through today. So get your workbooks ready and get ready to go.
That's great. Thank you, Jamie. And speaking of all the time that's past the 20 years, oh my gosh, it's crazy. But, this is what we're going to talk about here today. As Jamie mentioned, these are consistencies that we've seen over the years, both at Infusionsoft and Keap, and Jamie and her business, and, my own experience. And so we brought this together to really give you guys some fundamentals that are going to speak to the reality that you're probably likely in, and what we're going to do today, you guys, the exercises that we're going to go through, these aren't part of some fancy new marketing system. Okay, so if you're looking to dig into the latest, greatest, fanciest, shiny new thing, this probably ain't it. But what this is it's principles that we're going to employ that are rooted in proven business fundamentals, you guys. These are derived from many, many years of research, like I mentioned. You can see all the pictures of all the crazy funnels.
We've drawn many of those over the years. And, you can have the best funnel in the world, but if you don't know what you should be selling to who, it won't work.
Yeah, it's painful. But, a lot of times you can come to these kinds of webinars too. And like I said, learn about that fancy new marketing system or whatever the latest, greatest thing is. This is fundamentals. Our purpose of being here with you today is to give you something that you can walk away with, something tangible, actionable, that you can walk away from this today and go, all right, I know what the next steps are for me to actually get the kind of results that they were talking about today. Yeah. So, we want you to genuinely be able to help your business grow. And so we're going to dig into that here today.
Yeah, and that's why we called this a virtual workshop versus just a webinar, because webinars, people are talking at you. We're working with you. You are going to do half the work. We're going to be quiet for probably probably half of the webinar as we go through it, right, Matt?
At least a third. At least a
Yeah.
third. Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll be doing and asking us questions as we go. By the way, just from housekeeping perspective, I am monitoring the chat as well as the questions and answers. So as you have those, we're going to kind of jam through this because we've got lots of content to get to you. So if we don't answer it when you ask it, it will be saved in the Q&A, and we will make sure we get to it and make sure we answer everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, we are going to move pretty fast because this is a lot of deep, really exciting stuff. And so we want to cover a lot pretty quickly here for you guys today. So what we want to do, guys, is we want to start by answering a pretty simple question. And it's, why do so many small businesses just survive? If you're probably familiar with some statistics around small businesses, you've probably heard it before, but it's true that a majority of small businesses fail within the first 5 years. Few small businesses actually thrive the way they envision, right? And ultimately, it comes down to the way that the business approaches their marketing. Now, I want you to just go ahead and throw out your preconceived notions about what marketing means, because we're going to, I think, reshape some of that here for you today. So we're talking about survival marketing, right? Jamie mentioned, many small businesses, you probably can relate to this, are out, looking for the next deal, looking for the next customer, getting that customer, and then moving on to the next one. And most small businesses, you guys, are survivors, kind of like this caveman. What he does is he wakes up in the morning, he goes to find the herd, he sneaks up on them, singles out the weakest, chases it down, catches it, drags it back to the cave, eats for a day, and then he starts all over again. Does that sound familiar? Anyone? Yeah. Amen. I know.
Yeah.
But, as a result of that activity really is just a survival activity. He's always chasing his survival, right? And so the way this might show up in your small business is, some of the symptoms, as we might say, that you want to be looking for that are indicators that you might be suffering from survival marketing. First thing you're going to see is that we're almost always chasing the next deal, like we said. Something else is our marketing is disjointed, right? This may be on again, off again, just kind of ad hoc or spray and pray style marketing. Anybody ever drop a big, write a big check for some kind of advertising deal, and you're like, okay, fingers crossed, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
It's always fun. And the thing with that is you don't have confidence in your marketing plan. You don't have that confidence that your marketing plan is going to actually bring in the customers, right? And you may be experiencing one or more of these symptoms. They tend to be interrelated, but it's safe to say that everyone in business has experienced this in one or more ways. So.
Yeah, and one of the things I talk about all the time is that roller coaster of revenue. So that's another symptom of the survival marketing, because you're working hard to close sales, and then all of a sudden you got to produce and fulfill and do whatever it takes to get it there, and then you're back to having no money, and you got to go do it all over again. So it's a commonality we see across the different industries. It doesn't matter whether you're a speaker, an author, a service person, physical products, all of those things go through the same cycle.
Yeah. And, I'll just mention this, the company Keap, Infusionsoft, right? We've been doing this for going on 20-ish years now as a company. And, every day we get pieces of this wrong, right? And we've got, a pretty nice big team and, resources to make a lot of really cool things happen. But everyone misses the mark from time to time. So it's important to understand really what this looks like in your business and what it looks like in general for most businesses. So you've all probably heard of a sales funnel, right? Here's your funnel. Not everyone in survival mode is dying, you guys. This is something really important to understand. Like I said, Keap experiences this issue. Every business experiences these problems, but how you understand and approach and address these problems is what really makes a difference. And so, like we said, it's about your marketing. and marketing comes down to your sales funnel. But not everybody's dying in this process, right? At a basic level, this is what it looks like for most small businesses. You start by generating some interest. Now, this is, by the way, guys, your least predictable part of the funnel by far, right? And so to follow that, of course, we should of course have the least predictable part of the funnel be followed by the most expensive part of the funnel, where you get a few leads, right? Depending on how much you're spending and how many of those people who see you are actually coming in the door, that can be really expensive. But from there, you sell to the hot leads, right? The ones who are ready to buy, who get it. You sigh in relief, and then you start all over. Anyone familiar with that process?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's what it's all about, But
and hopefully you actually got a breather in between there, but most of the time you're running to the next one.
Yeah, and most of the time, this is, you may feel like you've got multiple funnels overlapping just because you're having to deal with one client at a time or one marketing campaign at a time, and not having that strategy and that scalable bit. We're going to get you hooked up with all that stuff today.
Exactly.
But here's what this
They're
looks
gonna
like.
love it.
Yeah, this is super fun. This is one of my favorite things to talk about. But here's what it looks like, guys, right? So as a result of that survival marketing, you've got lost traffic, right? Lost leads. And of course, the most painful one, lost customers, right? So let me ask you guys, just think about this or respond in the chat. How many of these three do you suffer from in your business? If you're like most business owners, you guys, you know that you've got opportunities slipping through the cracks somewhere or everywhere, but maybe you don't know what to do about it. Today, like I said, that's what we're going to do. We're going to uncover your own unique hidden opportunities and help you leave here with really more confidence than probably you've ever had.
Yep. So, and I won't name names, but I'm seeing, most definitely. So,
Good.
So it's a commonality.
It is.
You're not alone.
Yeah, you're not. And this is something that we want to address, that it's really important here too, because this stuff can feel overwhelming, right? Marketing, especially in the digital age, especially if it's not something that you're, ingrained in, and most of us aren't. And there's so much to know about out there. I mean, our customers, they're going online, and this thing can feel like a train we can't catch. The technology, social media, all the tools, the tactics, all this stuff, right? It can be just overwhelming. Well, I've got good news for you guys here. Like, all of this stuff, this train, you don't have to catch it. You don't have to catch it in order to thrive. So, we want to take a look at some businesses who are thriving, so you can kind of get an idea of some really at a high level, some ways that you can employ this yourself. And then we're going to get you building your own tactics around this stuff too. So,
and one of the key things, Matt, that I tell my clients all the time is it's not that you have to know the details of how to place a Facebook ad, but you need to know the generalities so that you can direct those people that you have doing this for you, or you at least understand what they're doing is working, and how to adjust or change, or when to lose that person or change their seat on the bus, if you read Good to Great, and put them in another role. So it's critical as an entrepreneur. Sometimes in the beginning, you got to do it yourself, but at least knowing it and knowing how to hire it out makes it a whole lot better, and you will thrive a whole lot faster when you understand it in that process.
Yeah. And you might be looking at your business and going, oh my gosh, there's so many holes, right? There's so many leaks to plug. And that's cool. That's totally normal. Don't feel overwhelmed. We're going to help you step back from that and prioritize what you're going to do. But, I want to ask this question, because you may look at your business and go, I don't know what the difference between my business and a business that's thriving is exactly, other than revenue and efficiency and overall happiness. But what is their secret? Right? Small businesses that are thriving, what is their secret? And this is a setup, really, because none of you are going to be able to answer this, I don't think. Go ahead and try. But I'll tell you what the difference is. The most impactful invention for the caveman, the guy who is surviving, it's the fence.
Yeah.
Imagine that, you guys. It's a simple implement like the fence that allowed the caveman, this hunter survivor, to evolve into a farmer and a rancher, right? Because by understanding the life cycles of plants and animals, this is fun, and empowered with the fence's ability to separate them from each other, the farmer can better control his supply of food, right? He can focus his attention on the growth of his farm as opposed to just surviving. Thriving businesses, you guys understand the customer life cycle and have learned how to segment its different stages. And that's what we're going to do today. And that helps you to more effectively manage and grow your business. If you do it, it needs to be done, you guys, at each stage of this customer life cycle, you can enjoy a thriving, bountiful harvest. Now, the system that the farmer's employing, you guys, it's very similar to the methodology we're going to leverage today. And it's called, take it away, Jamie.
It's called Lifecycle marketing. Now, if any of you have ever heard me speak, I've spoken of this in multiple different events that I've done. What this is a framework that allows you to think about both your marketing and your sales and the process that a client goes through to get there. They're not always ready to buy. If you had a room full of 1,000 people today, are they all ready to buy your product today? No, but they're in different stages of the process. So once you understand this, it's really easy to get started. So it's a fundamental premise of lifecycle marketing is that every small business who is in survival mode has a ton of opportunity throughout their business. When you go from just converting sales to considering the entire life cycle, there's all kinds of wins along the way and things that you can start to measure. And it feels so much better when you can say, oh my gosh, I have 25 people in the almost ready mode. So when you wake up in the morning and if you follow Grant Cardone and say, who's got my money today? You have a pool of people to go look at. So you have that ability. So because this is based on, it feels really natural as you're going through it because it's based on the laws of the customer harvest. We plant a seed, we nurture that seed, and ultimately we get the oak tree that is 20 feet tall. So before we start working on that today, though, what we want to do is begin by understanding the first two fundamental truths.
Yeah, these are really foundational, guys. I want you to keep these in your head as we're going through this. And this is really something that you should, maybe put this up on your wall somewhere, right? Because it's easy to lose sight of these things as we're trying to run the mechanics of our business and we're trying to, generate numbers. We can lose sight of these things. Prospects, you guys are people, in case you forgot. Just like you, just like me. The way that you, yeah. They're represented by numbers, but the way that you engage with them, it can't come from a place of desperation, right? You ever been at that place in your business and you're like, man, I know that prospect felt it. They could just feel it on me, the desperation. And it's not fun.
Not pretty.
No, but think about like our grandparents' way of doing business, right? This is a give first and build relationships kind of approach, right? And you need to embrace this mindset as we go through the exercises here today. The other thing is that systems scale relationships. Okay, as we go through the possibilities for your business here today, don't let your creativity be hindered or limited by operational, tactical things, staffing, systems, time, money, all those things. Don't worry about those things, because we're also going to talk about ways that you can systematize many of these things, which is very scalable and can be very efficient and affordable. But automation, I understand, can be a bit of a scary word for some folks, but I want you to consider this. It's the tractor that makes farming profitable, right?
There you go.
You might be able to enjoy your harvest and thrive, but without automation, there is a ceiling. So this is what, Jamie and we specialize in. The results of automating, and anyone who has automation in their business in any way, shape, or form can tell you the results are positive only every single time.
Exactly.
No matter how big or small your business is, only every time.
Only every time. How are those odds?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. So you guys, again, like Jimmy mentioned, you want to have your workbook ready to go, because everything we're going to do today aligns with the pages and the exercises in this workbook. And so you can grab it there at that link if you don't have it already.
Yep.
We do recommend printing it out. Take lots of notes here, you guys. Turn off your cell phone, lock the door, and close your email, because you really want to be focused here today.
Exactly.
So, Jamie.
All right. So we are going to work on your business, as a famous client of mine says. Michael Gerber talks about on your business, not in your business. That's when you really know that you're starting to build your systems. We call it work, but what we're really doing today is making sense of the whirlwind of chaotic messages that you hear every day about what you should be doing. So we don't want to should all over ourselves.
Don't should on yourself.
No, it's a terrible thing. We're going to take a different approach, and that'll change the way you think and feel about your marketing forever. So first, make sure that you've got your workbook printed. If not, just some regular notes, but it was in the emails that you got, so you can download it from there, or it's bit.ly, there you go, thank you, bit.ly/mysite, MISYTE_PCL for Perfect Customer Lifecycle. So download that book. Now, in particular, we want you to make sure that you're writing down ideas, insights, the ahas. You're going to have ahas all through this process. And yes, Angie, it is being recorded. So we do have the background, the replay available. You want to write down big gaps. You're going to notice that we're going to talk about something and you're going to say, oh my God, I never thought about that. And here's where I am and here's where I need to be. So what are those big gaps? What are the opportunities that you see? And the key action items. So when we're done, we're going to have you pick 3, because you're going to write so many down that you're going to feel like it was a fire hose and you're overwhelmed. And we don't want that. So we're going to have you pick 3, but you got to write them down first so you can pick the best 3. So with that, let's go ahead and get started.
Awesome. All right. Well, yeah, I'll fire us off here on this. So life cycle marketing, the customer life cycle, like we talked about the farmer and understanding the life cycle of the plants and animals, right? And segmenting them, separating them using that fence. So with this, there are 9 stages in the customer life cycle. Most survivors, you guys, are focusing on 1 or 2 stages at a time, 2 tops.
Yeah.
And the goal today, you guys, is not to make you perfect in every area. We want to help you find the biggest opportunities, like Jamie said. And by the end of the session, we're going to identify, like she said, the top 3 things for you to attack first. And you're also going to learn how to come back over and over with your team to find the low-hanging fruit, or the next low-hanging fruit in this process. So let's look at the 9 stages of the customer life cycle. There are 3 phases across the top here: attract, sell, and wow. So those are pretty easy to remember. Underneath them, there are the 9 stages. So we start with target, attract interest, collect leads, educate, offer, close, deliver and wow, offer more, and get referrals.
My second favorite.
Yeah. That's some good stuff right there. There's juicy stuff right there.
Juicy.
Yeah. But, guys, like we're talking about here, getting referrals, instead of just looking at sales to see how we're doing, there are several important metrics to watch along this. Now, don't worry. You're not going to be getting like a business economics exercise here. Don't worry. You don't have to, be an analytics expert. But the approach that we're going to take today gives us the ability to identify where we're doing well and where there's more opportunity to be had by breaking it up into these different stages and sections. So let's start at the top.
Sure. We're going to start with target on the attraction side. So when we start to look at thriving businesses, one thing that we know is they know and understand who their customers are. So one of the biggest mistakes that I see out there is people say, well, here was an example I had. Somebody that did skincare. And I said, so who is your client? And she said, anybody with skin. Well, the problem with saying anybody with skin, you've just opened your market, and it goes across what you think, because you think you just now have a huge market what you did was you really just shut yourself off because you can't communicate to all of them in the same way. If, for instance, you start talking about anti-aging cream to my 19-year-old twins, they're going to go tweak and shut you off. But if you start talking about acne care, to me, it's something I don't care about. So you really have to know who that target is. This is how we become successful. And we got a cat that's telling us all about it in the process. So success requires focus and understanding. It requires knowing the right message that we're going to send to the right people. So to do that, we want to do a couple of things. We want to look at what their basic characteristics are. Well, in some places, people call this demographics, they call it firmographics, they call it your avatar, all of these different words. But it's the basic characteristics of who the person is. What are their pains, problems, challenges? What keeps them awake at night that you can solve? What benefits do they seek that you can produce? Not features. Features are different. Benefits are what's important to them, right? So it's what are they aspiring to? What can we change? What can we solve for them? What can we do to make them sleep better? So the next question is, why do they want to buy from you? What makes you different? How do you stand out? What are their most common objections? That's a key one. If you know what the objections are, I love Russell Brunson talks about all the time, your hook story offer. And when you're creating those offers, you throw in a bunch of bonuses that solve all of your objections. If your bonuses solve your objections, you don't have any objections because you just solved them all, right? And finally, it's critical to best understand who your target audience is not. Who do you not want to work with? Once you bring a customer on, if you bring the wrong customer on and you can't provide what they're doing, they go out and tell the world, and guess what? Unhappy customers tell more people than happy customers. So you want to make sure that you're dealing with the right ones. So with this in mind, I want you to go ahead and dig in on page 1 of your workbook. So open that up. Everybody got that? And we're going to start looking at who are my ideal clients, right? The first, whoops, catch up on my notes. So what I want you to do is write down, we're going to give you about 2 minutes to go ahead and outline who your ideal customer is. And Matt, can you bring back that previous slide so they have the, there they go, perfect.
Sure can.
Characteristics, pains, problems, benefits, why they buy from you, most common objections, and who is not your target client. So I'm going to start the little timer here and give you about 2 minutes. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. We will answer some as we go and go from there. What do you think, Matt?
Sounds great. Sounds great. I'm going to mute myself so you guys don't have to listen to me breathe.
And I'll mute so you don't hear the cat when she goes again.
The dogs may chime in later, so we'll see.
Oh, there you go. I got 2 of those too. So somebody said they don't have the workbook, and if you go to, and you don't have to have the workbook, you can still write these actions down. But if you go to bit.ly/M, capital M, ISYTE _ capital P, capital C, capital L. There you go, Matt. He's the wizard. If you go to that link, you'll be able to download it. It's also in your, there should have been a big orange button that said download your workbook in the emails. So if you want to go back and check your emails. Perfect. Page 1, yes, we are going through the action. Whoops, there we go. That was our timer. We were going through the items listed. So Matt's got those there. They're listed in your workbook as well. Knowing your customer, who that customer is. So any questions? Let's see, I've got one more. I think we answered that one. And Matt put up the question, so I think we're good there. All right. And you're welcome. Good. Love that it's a fillable PDF. Very good. All right, we're good. Excellent. So that takes us, did that everybody get something? Any questions or thoughts that you have on that you want to chime in? It feels good to really identify who that person is, doesn't it? Cool. All right. So now that we've identified that ideal customer, let's move on to the next question, which is, what do they care about? What does your ideal customer care about when they're considering a solution like yours? Are they looking for something that is simple? Are they looking for a solution that'll make them more efficient? Are they looking for an economical solution? As you begin to unpack what these basic questions are, you're going to uncover more questions about the way they experience the problems. And that relates to your products and services. So go ahead on page 1 again. And answer the question, what do they care about? What's important to them? And it's really critical that you look at this from their perspective, not from yours, because sometimes you think they want a purple duck with pink polka dots, and they really just want a plain white duck with a yellow beak, right? So you want to make sure that it's not your artistic or your feelings on what they want. You want to know, what was it that caused you to look at this in the first place? Why did you become an expert at what you did? You had a problem that you solved. What was it? What were your pains? What were you feeling then? What did you care about? And the other key I tell a lot of my clients is ask. You know, we look at social media and all the different places we have out there. Go ahead and ask. I'm creating a product for this. What are you looking for? What do you care about in the product? You'll be surprised sometimes at the answers you get, how simple they are when we're trying to overcomplicate and over-deliver, and they really just want something really simple. So go ahead and take 2 minutes and answer that one. Matt, did you have any examples you can add to that?
Yeah, you know, the one thing, I've got all kinds of examples, but the thing that really, that I always kind of come back to on this particular exercise is, you know, think about your actual clients that you've worked with. Think about your actual customers. And anytime somebody's shared with you, you know, a time that they've been, you know, really grateful or appreciative of your product or service, think about their story. Think about their story. What do you know about them, right? And maybe everything in their story won't feel relevant to your product and how you market it and how you message, but it will. It will. And there are pieces that you can take today from your existing clients, your best ideal client stories, that will be consistent across anyone else that you want to talk to. And so be thinking about their stories and how you can share the way that you have built a relationship with and served your customers and clients, as it relates to their needs, their desires, their dreams, and what they're looking to get out of a service like yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got about 30 seconds left. This always reminds me of that WIFM, that radio station, what's in it for me, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly it.
We, and you know, I've had the pleasure over the last 2 years to be able to travel and speak around the world. And I thought it was just us Americans that were really self-centered and caring about what we did, but it's really not. It's a universal thing. Everybody really buys because it's important to them. It's not that they're buying because you're offering it. They don't care that you're offering it. They care that they can use it and how they can use it and what a difference it's going to make in their life. So good. All right. I see Linda has some comments about your ideal customer. Good. Ideal customer is serviced by marketing agencies. They order ribbon, but they don't order a lot. So finding manufacturers or companies that order more. So yeah, that's looking at who are the people that do those kinds of things, Linda. That would be pieces that we want to look at. All right. Now, the next section, the next question on page 1 is, where do they hang out? Now, hang out in the old days literally was networking and going face to face. Today, hang out can mean what groups are they in? What social media are they in? It might be conferences. It might be meetings. Where are they spending their time? Are they looking for solutions that will make them more efficient? Are they looking for, oh, I'm on the wrong slide. Look at that. It's got some different notes. So yeah, we want to make sure, where are they hanging out and where can we connect with them? And it's really kind of critical that you know, as you start to connect with them, that you don't jump in. I've seen people who come in and say, hey, I'm here and I'm amazing and my product's amazing and I'm selling this and I'm selling that. It's relationship building, folks. It's learning who they are and what they need before you start spewing all of your stuff all over them. So where are they hanging out and where can you get to know them better? So take another 2 minutes to fill that out. And I got my trusty timer. I hate going to those conferences and networking events where people just come up to me and hand me a business card and say, you should call me. Well, why should I call you? What's in it for me?
Well, and this is, I'll mention here, I mean, this is, obviously social media is a major place where people are easy to access, and hanging out a lot, right? And like I said before, that can feel like this overwhelming train of, I don't know if I should be doing LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or all of them. I don't know. Should I be like posting pictures or whatever? Like, understanding, when you understand the needs of your ideal client and their more about their demographics, and as how that relates to your product or service, you're going to start to get a better idea of where people are hanging out, right? You're not likely to, find buyers for industrial parts manufacturers hanging out on Instagram.
Right.
But maybe. So, as Jamie was kind of saying, it's important not to like just jump in to the deep end of everything all at once. Do a little testing here and there, because some of this stuff you won't know. You're like, I don't know where they hang out. Well, do a little testing. Don't write any $5,000 checks to ad agencies though. Test first.
Yeah, absolutely. So you need to find out. So, and by the way, when you're talking to people, if you are looking to outsource things like this, if they're not asking you these same questions we're asking you, run fast, right?
Yeah.
So they should be asking you the same questions and hoping and expecting that you know the answers. A lot of times if people come to me and they don't know the answers, I run quickly the other way, because I can't help you if you don't know who we need to find to help you, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so,
unless the problem they're coming to you with is, I don't know who my ideal customer is.
Right. Well, we can help you formulate who it is through a series of questions, but if you just have no idea and you're stuck on everyone, then it's not happening. All right.
It can be hard.
So now does that feel better for figuring out how and who you're looking to target? Have you got a clearer picture now of who it is we're looking at? And one of the tricks, by the way, you hear this all the time, and I used to think it was really silly, but now we start to talk about this is transitional Tracy, so that we know who that person is when we're starting to talk about it, because you're going to have 3 or 4. If I go back to the skincare example, the anti-aging versus the pimples, right? The acne medicine. They're 2 different demographics. It's the same product we're selling. It's just a different message. It's a different way that we'll approach. So we'll be on Instagram and what's the one my kids are on? Snapchat.
Oh, yeah.
Right? We'll be on those things. TikTok for the anti-aging. We'll be on Facebook and LinkedIn. Facebook and LinkedIn for the anti-aging, and the other ones for the acne medicine. So we want to start to put things around that. The other thing I'll say here is, once you really know who it is you're talking to, you'll find that the way you start to introduce yourself is different, because you're going to start to use their language in the process of how you introduce yourself. And while you're not pitching, you are building that relationship from the first word that comes out of your mouth or typed on your screen. And with that, Matt, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, and this is where the the rubber hits the road, right? Now that you understand who you're talking to, where they hang out, what their needs are, and you're able to craft a message around that, at least a general message around who it is and how they benefit from your product. You need to attract their interest, right? There's got to be something aside from the reality that you can help them solve a problem. There's got to be something that they're going to look for. So, the thing is when we're in that sales survival mode, the caveman, right? We can attack our prospects with a hard sales message, kind of a lot like the caveman attacks his prey. But there are 2 parts to this, you guys. The first is where we go to look for customers, and the second is the method that we use in going after our customers, right? So unlike the caveman's approach, lifecycle marketing, what we're looking at here, it uncovers ways to flip the equation around and get prospects to come to you. Isn't that nice? So we don't chase, we attract. Okay. So
it's kind of like the dating game, right?
It is. I mean, I'll tell you what, let me just throw this in there. The top of my head. My wife, who is amazing, and it's an absolute miracle that I was lucky enough to end up with her. We didn't meet until it seems like kind of stopped trying. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Anyone experienced that? It's like, it's what's that? There's this ideology. This is, the harder you try for something, the further away from it you get. That whole principle. This is that.
Exactly.
Right? And your prospects, your audience, they can smell desperation. They can smell, a caveman hunting them down. Right?
They see it, they smell it, and they run from it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good because it really only serves you.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't serve them. So we got to have powerful magnets to attract our prospects. And you may have heard the term lead magnet, and to you, the term lead magnet, it's possible maybe overused. I know for me, it kind of feels that way a little bit, but these are just magnets. It can be a variety of things, you guys. And it's something you want to offer to prospects as a step in the buying cycle. And there are essentially 2 types of magnets. There's product magnets and educational magnets. Both of them have different caveats, but we're going to take a look at a couple of real life examples here. So let's start with these guys at Human Healthy Vending. I think they've changed the name of their company since we put this together. So I was trying to go find current pictures of them. Anyway, but these guys started out as hunters, right? They were going, closing deals and going through that whole process, but they created these targeted lead magnets, right? And so their target audience is essentially, it tends to be fitness locations, gyms, places where health is top of mind, right? And so they've got these vending machines in gyms and places like that. so they provided this new uh, uh, asset. There's the word I'm looking for their essentially their franchise resellers. Okay, and because that's how they get business. They get business by signing up franchise resellers who go out and sell their products. So 11 dumb vending mistakes and how to avoid them, because these are typically folks who are doing the Coke machines, they're doing the bubblegum machine, they're doing all the vending things, right? They're in that industry. Well, so instead of talking about how great their healthy products are and how great their vending machines are, they're going right to the source of the problem, understanding the needs of their client base, their customers, and talking to them about, here are the 11 dumb mistakes in vending and how to avoid them. So that's a great educational resource. It is a bit of a product resource as well, because of course everything they're talking about in there leads right into
The
their
product.
product.
Well, and the other thing I want people to look at is, in both cases, you're referring to pains. How are they losing money? That's a pain. That's keeping them awake at night. What are the dumb mistakes they're making? That's a pain, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And you can see there, they make it easy for folks to go and take advantage of this exclusive free report, right? And they're putting an expiration date on that. I love that too, driving that urgency. So yeah, some little things you can do, and it doesn't have to be this ebook thing. There's so many different ways, especially with video being so accessible today, a lot of different ways you can engage with and educate your prospects. Let's take a look at Gleason Tax here. I can't stand that little bar that comes up at the bottom. So you think like they know I'm presenting. Anyway, these guys, Jeanette Gleason, they have a tax and financial advisor business, obviously. These guys were spending thousands of dollars on their marketing. They got poor results. Sound familiar? Yeah, most of us. But their educational marketing is where they really struck gold. Okay, so they had this expensive event model. They were going to spend tons of money, $10,000 on a mailing that produced nothing. These guys were almost bankrupt and like in foreclosure, possibly. Like, it was the typical bad, terrible story. But they began to test this educational approach, and they sent an email broadcast in conjunction with a PBS special about taxes. And they actually ended up signing a large client out of that. They didn't have to, guys. They didn't have to go and create that content. They just shared a recording of a PBS special. They're engaging with and educating their prospects around specific pain points. They decreased their marketing spend by more than 50%. And, at the same time, look at that. They increased their leads by 120%, that attract methodology. So seeing the effects of that, you guys, they created more magnets, started offering them more all over, and they've really begun to scale up. And we'll show you what they're doing today a little bit later.
Yeah.
But guys, let me say this: your newsletter is not a magnet, right? Imagine this. Just think about this. Yeah. I mean, your prospect, right? Your audience, the person you're trying to reach, they're planted comfortably on their couch, right? They may be scrolling through their Facebook feed or whatever. They don't want to get up for anything, right? You have to be the one that gets their blood pumping. And what I mean is like, well, let me say this. When was the last time you woke up and said to yourself, I really need to sign up for a newsletter today? I can't wait.
In addition to the other 300 that hit my email box every day, right?
Yeah, let me throw another one on the pile. Yeah, no, guys, our approach is coming from, again, a place of relationship. Should be relevant to the needs of your prospects. Selfless, give, relational, right? So let's jump into the workbook. Let's do it. And we're going to go kind of quick through this because, we still have quite a bit to chew here, and don't want to get you guys falling asleep on us. Yeah. I know it's impossible because this is amazing. But let's explore, guys, what kind of magnets you can use, right? Again, think about, repurposing other content. It might be information or a report, something that is valuable to your audience, something that's going to help them to solve a problem and also demonstrate how your product or service is relevant to their needs in solving their problems. So go ahead and let's just take a minute here and jot down some ideas, whether it's a video, different topics that you might have in mind, things that are going to be interesting.
Good.
And I have a cool thing that I like to throw in here. So one way to come up with content and topics for content, especially lead magnets, really, really easily, is you should be gathering, at least in your mind, the questions that people ask when they first engage with you, or the questions that your customers regularly ask, right? We all know what a FAQ is, frequently asked questions. It's a great resource that everyone should have. Well, incorporate that into your marketing, because these are the problems that your customers are coming to you asking questions about how they can solve them. Well, put it in some form that you can get it out there and put it in front of people and get them to be attracted to you through your knowledge and expertise and ability to solve their problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And I find that some people are scared to death of being in front of the camera, but they're willing to write. So that may be, print stuff. Some people don't want to write, but they have no problem sitting in front of the camera and shooting a quick, hey, I got this question today, here's the answer, and creating little things that way. So those are easy, quick answers that you can do. And by the way, if you're interested in some other unique ideas, send me a message, Jamie, Jamie @mysite.com, and I'll send you a couple of links to some places where you can find free content that you can use as lead magnets, or use at least as a basis to build your own.
Perfect. Yeah, and that's, when you think about it that way, when you think about it instead of, some marketing play, and you think about, hey, what are the problems and the questions that my prospects have? And how can I package that in a way that gives them value and helps them to solve those problems and brings them closer into a relationship with my business? Think about it. How many more visitors could you attract, whether it's to your website or to your store or to your booth at a trade show, if you had the right magnets in place?
Tons.
Exciting.
Tons.
One of those leaky holes, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So what do we do once we've attracted them?
We collect their names. So
No way.
here's a scenario. You drive 1 million people to your page, and they read your page and they say, wow, that was really cool. What's next? And there's no place for them to click a button or fill in forms. What have you just done? You've educated 1 million people and not gotten a single thing out of it. So it's critical. This is a part that I see people build landing pages all the time and do things that they're not giving people a way to learn more. So it's critical that we do this. So if you want to be able to follow up, you have to get their information. You want to build a very strong database. And that comes one day at a time. We add 5-10 people a day. And now all of a sudden you're surprised because you've got 100,000 people on your list. You're likely to have leads slipping through the cracks and you may not even know it. So let's look at how we can do that. Most businesses have enough slipping through the cracks that they could double their results if they were capturing leads more effectively. So let's think about these examples. Web traffic that leaves your site and hasn't done anything. Walk-ins that walk out, right? Have you ever walked into a business and said, yeah, no, not working for me, and walked right back out? If they had something that spoke your language, again, understanding what your clients are looking for, if you had that sign that said, are you tired of blah, 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 that would attract me, I would stay. Telephone calls that hang up, networking contacts who disappear, you see them, you meet them, and you think it's the greatest thing. Trade show visitors who walk straight by your booth, all of those people are ones that we want to figure out how to capture. So let me get here. When we take a minute now, let's take 2 minutes. Oh, we'll take a minute right now. And how can you better organize information about your clients, and how can you capture that information better? Is it a database? Is it a spreadsheet? Is it a CRM? Are you using something currently? Have you been thinking about something? So how are you going to organize that database? It's one thing to have a list, it's another to be able to use it. So how are you going to do that?
And if it's just a spreadsheet for now, cool.
Yep. Yep.
But commit to something. Commit to using something.
Yep.
Don't just create it and forget about it.
Exactly. Exactly. Because guess what? If you don't contact them, they forget who you are.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember half the businesses I want to remember.
Exactly. Exactly.
What was that
What do
business
you do
that
for
did
me
that
lately? Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, I've got a client that, you know, if they don't contact people within 10 minutes, they've moved on to something else because
Yeah.
it's easy for us to get down a rabbit hole. So you've got to know. Now that's a very intense real estate, you know, based type business. So good. All right. Now, again, I want you to think about the number of leads that are slipping through the cracks because of gaps in how you're collecting. This is really, really, really important work. So let's move on to the educate stage. Matt?
Awesome. This is one of my favorites. So this is jumping off of the attract interest, really, right? But it's taking the relationship even deeper. This educate stage is going to help you really to create content and conversations that connect and build relationships and with potential customers, right? So I want to show you guys something here because it may be hard to differentiate, you know, okay, what's the difference between attracting interest with lead magnets and having valuable information to have conversations with? What's so critical in that? Well, here's what you need to know and need to be thinking about every day in your business. Did you guys know it takes an average of 5 sales calls to close a deal? I don't know what study or whatever that came from, but you know, I think most of us with sales experience would say, yeah, that's generally true. You know, most salespeople give up after just 1 or 2 calls, right? We're looking at those hot leads again, back to that survival marketing.
Yeah.
Now you can see in this chart here, it can be kind of confusing. I realize that, but you know, on the right, you can see the number of sales calls it takes to get to a deal that closes, right? So you can see that 81% of deals that close required 5 or more follow-up calls. But you can see on the left, the percent of calls that a company makes, about half of them are only making 1 call, and only 10% on average are making that 5 or more. You know, most salespeople, again, give up after that first or second call. Anyone feeling a little pressure right now? Okay.
Well,
Okay, good. Should
and
be.
you know, I see so many people well, here's a question. So fill in the chat and tell me, how many of you love sales? Yeah, not
Crickets.
me. Yeah,
Crickets.
exactly. So there's nobody. So nobody, even amazing salespeople, don't like to be rejected. And if you don't have the ability to figure out a way to build the relationship and build the trust, and that's what this educate phase is all about, which is why I love it. So go ahead, Matt.
Yeah. Well, and this educate stage, when you're thoughtful and proactive and really intentional about it, it provides you with efficient and effective ways to follow up and engage with your leads. Now, of course, automating is where we're able to, you know, pay off big time on this stuff, right? Automating gets us some serious bang for our buck because, like, who has time to make 5 or more phone calls to follow up with every single lead, right? There's some things you can do to make sure you're calling the right leads, but still, that's a pretty big investment. So automation helps us quite a bit. Remember, the thriving farmers use tractors. So
Love
before we
that.
get back into the workbook questions, you guys, yeah, let's look at some real world examples. So original runner company. we're kind of talking about a couple pieces here, the collect leads and the educate, but really it's the educate. So, they went from keeping and storing their prospects, their leads in a shoebox to a customer database. So yay. All right. That's good. And today, sorry, I screwed that up. They went from shoebox to customer database. Should be, I think, shoebox for a customer database. Sorry about that. Today they've got multiple lead nurture follow-up systems, right? These are automated systems. One of them sends out a sample swatch with a follow-up. They're also doing automation and lead nurture follow-up based on the wedding date, right? And so the results of doing that, I won't go into all the details because there's an awesome story that Julie and her team from Regional Runner Company have, but they increased their conversion by 60%. Pretty crazy. Yeah. These guys are thriving for sure.
Well, and by capturing it, you're able to keep them in the flow versus just when we go back to your caveman, when you're only dealing with the hot leads, the rest of them just got left out there. So
you got to go out and find them every day.
Exactly.
Yeah. Bring them to you. Get them in your corral. Oh, by the way, you guys, Julie here, her referrals when she did this jumped by 80%. Referrals, free money.
Yep. Love that.
Here's another really cool one.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to give you our advanced referral technique towards the end. So you want to stay till the end.
Oh yeah. The referrals are juicy. So let me tell you guys about Debbie. Debbie Green, Minutes Matter is her business. And these guys sell design software for interior designers. Okay. These guys were they were seriously struggling to scale their business. And she had this vision, passionate Debbie. But before they had the lead nurture that you see here, before they had this in place, they had to have 5 full-time salespeople following up on their leads. And we're not trying to, kill anyone's job, but really, I mean, when you look at the way you're running your business, what they found is that by nurturing their leads and proactively answering the most commonly asked questions, remember, we talked about that, Debbie's salespeople now spend their time and their energy really closing sales with really well-qualified, well-educated leads. And these guys also now have more time to go out and guess what? Drum up more business and look for new partnerships for the company, right? So with these things in mind.
You mean they're closing sales faster now?
They're closing them faster and they're closing more.
I love that.
Yeah, not bad. So let's go in the workbook and want you to quickly go through here. And we've got 3 questions in a row. They're all very closely related. So I'm going to kind of go through all 3 of these, but we'll pause afterwards so you can come up with your responses. But the first question is, what questions do potential clients have about my product or service? Right? Okay, so now you can think about product details, cost, warranty, your social proof, case studies, those kinds of things. So that's the first question. What questions do your potential clients have about your product or service? Jot those down. The next question is, how can I answer those questions? Right? And that's not like, what can you say? What's the most effective way to communicate the answers to those questions? Through an email series, white paper, website, videos. There's so many different ways you can do it. The key here is to be answering their questions before they come to you asking them, right? And so you should already have an idea of what those are. And then the third one, how can I offer more value as I educate potential clients, right? So this is, again, building that relationship, creating more value, and reinforcing their understanding of their need for your product or service. Pretty exciting. So, we want to think about how you can offer more as you educate clients. Now, this can be things like sending additional resources, showcasing the differences between your product and others, special offers, samples, so many fun things you can do with this. But educating is really building that relationship and instilling confidence between you and your prospects.
Absolutely.
So go ahead, take a minute to answer those. And like I said at the beginning, as we're going through this, you may from time to time feel like, oh my gosh, she's going too fast. I didn't finish my last answer. Don't worry. You're going to get the recording of this. And this is in fact something that you should be regularly coming back to. I would say my recommendation, at least once a month with your team, so that not just you, but everybody on your team has an understanding of where you stand in the way that you engage with your prospects and clients, and how the business overall with the customer lifecycle looks like.
Absolutely. So, and as you start to answer all these questions, new questions will come up. So it's good to be able to do that. See, my dog's adding into it.
Yeah. Hey, puppy. I love it. I love it. Yeah. And think about this. I mean, we're going to ask you this kind of question over and over, as you may have noticed, but how many prospects do you lose each month because they aren't ready to buy today? Right. And we're not saying that you need to get them ready to buy today. What we're saying is that you're probably losing prospects because you're asking them to buy today and they're just not ready. The way that you engage with them and nurture them and educate them, there needs to be more substance to it, probably. And that is how you're going to build those relationships and capture more people and keep their interest. So from there, then we get to take their money. No, we ask them for their money.
Always a good feeling.
Yeah. And so this is the offer stage, you guys, right? So we've educated them, right? Doesn't this feel good? Let me just back up and ask you guys real quick. Go ahead and put in the chat or whatever. Does this feel good? Like we said in the beginning, it's going to feel kind of organic, because this is the organic flow and life cycle of customers, right? Yes, you can use the used car dealership examples all day long, right? Someone driving down the street sees the big thing on the side of the road doing this, right? And you pull in, you're like, oh, let's go take a look at the new, the new Mercedes or the new Toyota or whatever, right? Like that is a totally different world. You need to be educating your customers. You need to be educating your prospects and building that relationship. So now that we're ready to offer to them, because they understand who we are, what we do, and how it's valuable to them and how we meet their specific needs. I know I could just spend all day on this, you guys. Let's remember this. It takes an average of 5 sales calls to close a deal. But right, who has time for that? Well, let's check out our friends at Healthy Vending. So these guys, again, went from hunting to inbound harvesting. They're attracting customers, which is amazing. They were spending 8 to 10 hours per prospect, but they changed their sales process. So the reps only talked with qualified, educated prospects through those magnets, right? Ultimately, they decreased the time they spend selling by 75%. Now they operate like a 20-person marketing team, probably better now. And these guys grew from 0 to more than $5 million in annual revenue in under 3 years. Does that sound fantastical? It might to you. Is that above and beyond where you even want to go? I kind of hope not, but if it is, then that's cool. Where, think about where you could be in your business if you're doing these kinds of things. Yeah. We're also going to take a look at our friend David Heiserkorn. He's a super cool guy. He's private. He's got a private counsel law practice. There it is. He turned this typical legal model on its head, you guys. He used this creative lead conversion strategy. And it began when he realized that he's a lawyer, not a salesperson. Anyone relate? Anyone?
Yeah.
So here's what's up with David. He found himself spending a lot of time dealing with indecisive shoppers, frustrated clients with questions, right? Totally not pleasant. So to solve that, he's using content, videos, reports, and emails to offer that free value to his prospects and clients. He's educating them. And in doing this, he's broken what's really a mold in the industry by preempting the most commonly asked questions with his content, right? Now, once the prospects have met David's criteria, right, he's got some filtering criteria to be considered a qualified lead. He then offers them a complimentary initial consultation. Seems too easy, right, people? Well, check it out. As a result, David closes 100% of his appointments.
That's fabulous. And I
How
love
would that feel?
We use that with a lot of our clients, where when you create an application or a survey that they're filling out in the beginning, if they answer A, then this is what you want to happen. If they answer B, then this is what you want to happen. And if they answer C, they go straight to the salesperson, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can create that journey, that path as you go based on what they are telling you without ever spending any time on the phone up until that point.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, again, back to understand, it begins with the fundamental of understanding the needs of your target audience. It
Yep.
really does, because that thread flows through everything you do.
And that preemptive piece, as you said, preemptive, all of these questions, all of the things that Matt and I have been talking about are what lead to your objections. So start looking at, why are people saying no to you? What are their objections? And create videos that talk about those feelings or those situations beforehand. They get weeded out before they ever get to you. That's when you get to 100% of your closings.
Yeah, that's always fun. Somebody comes in the door going, so how much does this cost and who do I make the check out to? And then we'll talk about what you do, because I already know.
Exactly.
Isn't that great?
Or here's my check already signed. Let's go.
Yeah, we're ready to start today. So how's this work?
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, and that's because, right, the sales job is done when they walk in the door.
Yep.
You're not having to get on the phone every single time to talk to every tire kicker on earth, So let's go from here. Let's take a look at your offer on page 3 of your workbook. And I want you to jot down some ideas, right? So what's your compelling offer? Let's go back to David. You're right. Okay. So he was offering that complimentary consult. Okay. Now that can be time consuming, again, if you're not filtering properly, but be thinking about things that you can do. What's something you can do, an offer that you can make where they buy? A lot of times this is referred to as a tripwire. It can be your core offering, right? It doesn't have to be some next step thing. I mean, you might have people ready to buy like David. They may need a little more engagement and interaction with your product. Like if you sell software, you might offer a free trial. You might, send them a sample of your product, right? And this is what's really important in packaging your products. And that's a whole other webinar. But, when you have an understanding of what a package looks like, you can then start to create different versions of it and create like scaled down kind of entry level versions of it. So you're bringing people in at the right place, depending on where they're at in their.
Yeah. Case studies. So Linda with her ribbons doing samples is a great thing. Peggy is here. I know Peggy is a publisher, so she helps people get books written, we call them case studies in the industry, but it's a story. How did you help somebody be successful at what they did? How did you get them out of being afraid of writing their book? So those kinds of things are what part of this is that Matt's talking about.
Yeah. And that, that consultation is huge. That's a pretty common, especially for service providers, right? Let's say you're an interior designer. You might do a 30-minute, scoping call with them, or a 30-minute design review session, or, something like that. You should probably use fancier words than I just did, but something that, think about this, right? When you're offering them something, let me just go back to this slide here. Eventually, all these bullets, there we go. Whoa, one more. There it is. When you're here, offering them something doesn't necessarily, again, doesn't mean that you're offering your core product necessarily. You could be, but think about where they're at in their process as a buyer. Yeah. And make sure that what you're offering aligns with where they're at and what they need in order to move forward.
Well, and this is where I always use the dating analogy. We started with that earlier, but your first date, you're not taking them on a weekend to Tahiti. You're doing the coffee at Starbucks so that somebody else is around and you know who you're meeting, right? You're also not talking about how many kids and what their names are going to be on that first date. Otherwise, Chris, my husband, would have run the other way if that were the case. I already had them, so he got used to them. but that's the analogy I like to use. You've always got that first date that's coffee, then you go for dinner, then you might go for a weekend away, then the next step is meeting the family, and then you start talking about marriage, right? So you've got to step people through in the process on this too. Don't throw them into a very high-end product at the very beginning without testing where they're at.
Yeah, and this is the point where you're asking them to invest. Mm-hmm. Okay, because up until then, up through educate, it's been you giving to them. Now you're asking them to do something and to invest, whether it's financial investment or an investment of their time, right? Those are both incredibly valuable things, by the way. If you ever forget that time is really valuable, the time that your prospects spend with you, learning more about your service and engaging with you, value that, and realize that it is a transaction of time. And so Absolutely. What you're offering to them might not be them buying a product or downloading something or whatever. That offer is for them to get in the door and start acting more like a customer instead of just a prospect, right?
Yep.
So let me jump back to the slide that I was on. Good Lord, look what I've done here, Jamie.
Oh, you're good.
Part of the fun. So, yep. What's your compelling offer? So brainstorm some ideas here. Right, things you can do to get them in the door, acting more like a customer, making an investment of some sort. And then when should I extend the offer? Right? You want to be clear on when you're going to extend this. What have they done before they get to that point that you make that offer? What have they bought, if anything? What does their experience look like up until that point? Right? The farmer understands that you don't harvest the corn until it's grown to a certain point. You might be like, oh, let's just go ahead and harvest it today. It's not going to be the same thing. It Exactly. is not going to be the same thing. So yeah, you want to have an understanding of really when you should extend that offer. And then finally, what does a lead look like who's ready to buy? And so this is again, did they watch a video? Did they read an ebook? Did they request a demo? Like, what are they doing? And what are some of their characteristics? Back to that ideal client. Yep. This stuff is so exciting. But yeah, get clear on that. Write down some ideas. And again, something you should be coming back to regularly as you learn more and understand more about what this looks like for you.
And these are the reasons I got into automation and do what I do, because I graduated. How many of you read 1984, right? Big Brother?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I graduated in 84. I had to read that book before I graduated. And we never dreamed that something like that could really be there. But I literally can tell you how many seconds of a video you've watched and know that at certain points you turned into more of a buyer than you were when you were at this point. So those kinds of things can be done. And with that kind of information, you can direct the path that they're going down much easier because now you know more about them.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the flip side of that coin, Jamie, again, we're going to ask you this really depressing question here. How many additional prospects would buy each month if you had great follow-up?
Yep.
It's pretty simple.
It's tremendous. Exactly.
Well, so now we get to take the money. Is that right, Jamie?
That's where I love being, right? So the closing stage is how you can ask for the order and close more sales. So let's talk through the next questions in your book. So we're on page 3. How do clients buy from me? So what is the first one? Is it online? Do you have the capabilities? Is it PayPal or a merchant processing account or Stripe? How do they exchange money with you? The worst thing in the world is when somebody wants to buy and they get frustrated that they can't give you money. So is it in person? Is it with a sales rep? So write down what that is and be specific. What is the process? And is it different for different products? Sometimes different things happen different ways. So write that down.
And if you're feeling like on this question, man, I feel like I should have a more complicated answer. I mean, if people are just, mailing you a check or paying you in person, or if it's, I mean, if it feels simple, okay, then just write that down. This is again, this document, this workbook is not only for you to strategize and build out new processes and things and do all this really advanced stuff. It's for you to document your customer life cycle, right? And so if it's a simple answer on this one, great. Write it down. Write it down.
That means it's simple for them too. And that's the key. That's the important thing.
Hopefully.
Good. All right. Our next question is this an easy way for them to buy from me? So, and write down, is it, and why or why not? So go ahead and jot that down. What gets in the way for them? Where do people fall off? Do you know where people fall off?
This next one's kind of a natural.
There you go. Follows right in. So how can you make it easier? What difference in your process could make that a much simpler piece? Are you, when you're on the phone with them and they're ready to buy, is there a way to close the sale right there on the phone? Or do you have to say, okay, so mail me the check, and now you're waiting? When you give them that opportunity, that's where a lot of things fall through, because then somebody else starts talking and the monkeys in their head start saying, well, maybe I don't want to do that, right? So are you closing it at the point when they're ready to close? If not, how do you change that? How do you make it easier? And the next one, what are the top 2 to 3 things that you can do now or in the very near future that will help you? So we've already gone through the educate, the offer, and the close. So what are those things that are going to make a difference for you and for your customers? Because they want your service. And if you're not making it easy for them to buy, you're doing them a disservice.
Big time. How many times have you gone to a website or even walk into a store and, I'll give an example. My wife and I went to a car dealership this last weekend. We're looking for a specific car. The dealership we went to, we know has the car that we wanted to see, wanted to look at, and there's a high potential that we're going to buy it. And you wouldn't believe it, but it was on a Saturday morning here in the middle of town with, probably a dozen dealerships competing with them all around, across the street.
Right.
We walked around for 15 minutes and didn't see a single employee, much less a salesperson.
Now that's unusual. Normally they're on top of you, pouncing on you the minute you walk in.
Yeah. We were like, where are all the salespeople? This is crazy. But it's to that point that, these guys missed an opportunity. They missed an opportunity. And, you ever been to, a website or anywhere else though, where you're like, I'm trying to buy your product. You're not making it easy for me though. Mm. So many times.
Yep.
So yeah, and this is something I like about Jamie, these questions too, is that this is something that you should definitely, if you're going to take only part of this exercise to your team, this is the one, this whole section, these questions we asked here. How do clients buy from me? Is it easy? How can I make it easier? And what are the top 2 to 3 things I could do to improve my sales cycle? Your team is probably going to have amazing ideas. And if you sit around and talk about all the things that are really dumb in your business, they're going to be the first to go, oh, what if we do this? Well, we could try this and, brainstorm this stuff. Bring this to your team.
Excellent. Good. And you guys are all hanging in with us. We've got a bunch of people on the call and I've only lost one so far. And I know it's a long session. So I'm proud of you all for doing this.
Everybody stand up, shake it out.
Stretch out. Yeah.
Wake up a little bit. Yeah. This is a big one. We're getting to the really stretch. We're getting to the juicy stuff now, Jamie.
Yeah, I know.
This is
good stuff.
You think about, attracting leads and all the education and the follow-up and all of that. It's laborious. It really is laborious.
Yep.
But what are you?
Time and money.
Oh, so much time and money. And oftentimes you're spending that time and money on the wrong people,
Mhm.
right? That sucks. But once somebody buys and they're now a customer, this is where you really get to shine in
Well,
so many ways.
absolutely. And I find this, if you go back to that survivor mode that so many people are stuck in, they bring somebody on, they close the deal, and they're already starting to look for the next deal, and they're not delivering and wowing to these people. And wait till you see what can happen.
Yeah, it's very cool. Um, excuse me. So one thing I want to mention here is what about your business are you best at?
Mhm.
What are you best at? You personally. Well, if you're the founder of your business and you're the owner and the main service provider, which is most small businesses, many entrepreneurs, your answer should be I'm best at delivering my product or service. Well, awesome. Okay. We get to really let you shine now. Because instead of worrying about how many leads am I closing, how many, what are we doing with this marketing campaign? Is it going to work? Oh my gosh. And, that whole survival cycle, here you get to let your process and let the pieces you put in place run themselves as efficiently as they can. And you get to focus your time and energy on delivering an amazing experience for your customers, right? And not just giving them what they bought, but going above and beyond and really
Yep.
wowing them.
Yep.
So
Here's a quick question. When was the last time you worked with somebody or bought something, and when you were done, you went, wow, that was an amazing experience?
it's too few and far between, unfortunately,
Mm-hmm.
for most of us.
Mm-hmm. So change it for you.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, and let me show you these guys. Avid Off-Road. These guys are a local business here in the Phoenix area. They make custom bumpers for Toyota Tacomas. If you own a Toyota Tacoma and you didn't know that you need a custom bumper, well, now you do.
Talk about specific niche markets.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And here's what these guys did. This is Brandon. He's a cool guy, but he basically just created a simple follow-up sequence that engages with new customers. And as a result of this, I mean, it's a simple follow-up sequence engaging with them. His customers rave online about their customer service. It's out of control, and his positive word of mouth is actually a major part of his marketing strategy, not just throw it at the wall and see what sticks. He wows his customers. They come back for more and they bring their friends. It's awesome. So
Perfect.
let's talk about this, you guys. A recent study suggests that it takes 10 positive outcomes to overcome one negative online review. And it's true. It's true. If you've had one negative online review, you know how much it hurts. And yeah. So why wouldn't you invest in wowing your customers? Let me ask you this question. This is it's so exciting. Think about what you could do with $5 or less to wow every new client, right? $5 shouldn't be a stretch per client, for anyone here. It really shouldn't. Part of that customer acquisition cost.
Yeah, I was
Well,
gonna say you just add $5 to the cost of your product if you can't afford it.
you could do that. You could do that, or you could rely on an increase in volume, or
That
who
too.
knows.
Yep.
But
Yep.
these next two questions, you guys, are so much fun because this is where again you get to really like jam on what you're passionate about. So the first one is, what are 5 things I can do to wow my customers during the first 30 days? You send a personalized email, include some coupons, give them a call, so many different things you could do there. And then the second question is, what are 5 things I can do after the first 30 days, right? So maybe send a satisfaction survey every now and then. Be sure you hit them up on their birthday and special holidays. You're making those, you're continuing to connect with and engage with your clients. There are even more fun things we could do than that, though. Those are really pretty boring. we've got in the workbook on page 6, if you guys flip there, this can be a very simple solution. Again, $5 is pretty doable. If you turn to this sheet, and that should be in there. It's in there, right? You guys seeing it?
Yep, it should be.
Yeah. Go ahead and check off any items that you feel like you could use to wow your leads or your customers. Again, you guys, are any of these reasons that you might give a business a second look? Think about it. I know almost all of them are true for me. So to go ahead and take a minute here, go through this worksheet, and I want you to answer the previous 2 questions on pages 4 and 5 of the workbook. That what are 5 things I can do during the first 30 days and then after the first 30 days, and using this tip sheet, this worksheet, the checkbox to kind of help you get some clarity around that. So many cool things you can do. So again, we're moving kind of quick here. I know, but isn't this exciting? This stuff right here to me is like, man, just really enhances that customer experience in such an easy way. So what I want you to do right now is to take your top 2 ideas for each category for during the first 30 days and after, and I want you to start putting a plan in place to do it. It's not hard. This is so easy, you guys. Right? And again, Jamie can show you how to automate really, really cool stuff with this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be as simple as just writing a handwritten note. Set aside an hour each week to handwrite notes to new customers. Different ways you can do that. Think about, guys, I know it hurts. How many customers decide to stop doing business with you each month because you failed to wow them? Now, let me get this straight here for you guys. They're not thinking, Susan really failed to wow me this month. I think I'm not gonna, renew my contract, or I'm not gonna, buy from them. No, they're generally oblivious to the fact that you failed to wow them. They're generally indifferent to the fact that you failed to wow them. It's just part of the natural customer life cycle. If you don't keep them engaged, you don't continue to wow them and provide value as a customer, they're gonna go away. Go away.
And it's not that they even try to go away sometimes, because they might be happy with your service. They're just not wowed. But somebody else comes in and makes an impression on them and steals them away from you because you didn't wow them. When you wow them, they're going to say, I already got a guy, right? You want to be the guy or the gal for that person.
Totally.
So that when somebody else comes in, and it's kind of like we went the whole dating thing. When you got the ring on the finger and somebody comes up and says, hey, would you like to go on a date? Nope, I'm married. I have the perfect husband, the perfect man. I'm not interested. Thanks. Right?
Valentine's Day is coming up in a few weeks here. So it just on a personal note, if for those of you with a significant other or married, you cannot stop wooing your significant other. This is the same exact thing here,
exactly.
Right?
That's wowing, the same thing.
Just because my wife's wearing the ring doesn't mean I don't need to take her out on a date from time to time.
Exactly.
And wow her.
And by the way, Matt, you started out saying you were lucky to have your wife, and I'm sure she would say the same thing about you.
It's true. She's pretty lucky to have me.
She is.
We make a really great team.
You are a rock star.
Oh man. Well, that's part of I love what I do, right? And that's true for most of you too. I know, like, you love what you do. You got into this business to do the fun, amazing, awesome stuff that you do. You didn't get into it to be a marketer. You didn't get into it to be a salesman. You didn't get into it to be, an operations director, right? Or a bookkeeper. You need to be focused on where you really hit your stride, and your customers need to be able to feel that.
Yep.
So if they don't feel it, you're definitely not top of mind for them. And then, the others come. So this gets fun too.
Love this.
Because now that they've bought your product, they've been engaging with you, you're building a relationship with them, continuing to provide value. The offer more stage is going to help you to find a efficient ways to follow up with existing customers. So you can get repeat sales, offer additional products and services, right? Upselling. It's probably not a new, a new idea to you guys at all.
And the cost of this, you've already spent the money to acquire. The cost of acquisition is your biggest cost. You've already spent that. Now let's drag out and decrease what that cost of acquisition is and increase the lifetime value of the customer. So that's just critical, I think, and it's just easier. Did you know, and I don't think we have a slide that says this, Matt, once they buy, every time you make an offer, they have 25% more chance of buying. So from the first time was 0, the next time 25% chance they'll take whatever you're offering. After they buy twice, it's a 50% chance they'll buy whatever you're offering, and it goes up from there. So it gets easier. Let's do this and give them what they want.
Yeah, absolutely. Amazon has that down pretty good, I think.
Exactly. Exactly.
I can say I've definitely spent more and more and more with them. It's good. Mm-hmm. Well, check these guys out. This is kind of a non-traditional example of upselling, if you will, or offering more. We really should say offer more, because it's not just upselling.
Right.
These guys, Funtastic Dental. They're a fun, unique children's dentist in California. If you have kids, you've probably been to a place like this, or you've seen one. But here's the thing: when you're leaving your appointment, like any dentist, they try and schedule your next appointment 6 months away, right? And how many of us have gotten to that date and it's like, oh shoot, that's not going to work. Mm-hmm. Right. You got to reschedule it and all that, back and forth. It's crazy. But most patients, if you're like me, you end up missing it. So what these guys have done to solve for that, to make sure that their patients continue to come back regularly, right? That may not feel like an upsell, but it is. Mm-hmm. It's a returning customer buying more
revenue. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when they return for their 6 month follow up. These guys send reminders about the appointments through text, email, and a call from the receptionist. And these guys also take advantage of having their patient's birth date and send an email and a postcard to wish them a happy birthday. Like, these are simple things, you guys. This isn't like you have to sit down and come up with some advanced new marketing strategy. This is simple things. And again, you might feel like you don't have the bandwidth to do all of that. That's where automation comes in, friends. Yeah. And, you don't have to automate everything, but this is one of the most important things, is return customers. And so, these guys are doing a great job of that. Their customer value is increased. They've got increased frequency of visits. It's awesome. Jermaine Griggs, if you haven't heard of him, he's one of our, here at Infusionsoft and Keap, one of our superstars in the e-commerce world. But, again, Jermaine has been creating these personal relationships. He sends targeted messaging to them as a result of the automation that he has in place, and the offering more and that continued engagement. He's doubled his net profit. And this was actually from a little while ago. So Jermaine's just out of control successful. But, one day after someone orders, you can see there in the bottom right, he gives them a call, thanks them for the order. What an experience, right? You think you're buying this online course and that's it. And then you get a personal phone call from the founder or maybe a, education director, whoever it is, right? Important to be continuing to engage and make it personalized and educational, and driving them to continue to buy more because you're front of mind, right? So here's that question. Think about this. How many customers should be buying this month again, but they're not because of poor follow-up or targeted upsells? Ouch.
Or they got forgotten.
Yeah. So think about that. How many do you have there? And
those
from there,
starting to rack up.
It is. It's gnarly. On one side of the coin, you could think of, like a leaky bucket, right? Mm-hmm. All the holes in the leaky bucket. I kind of like to think of it like, everyone's American on this call, right? Yeah. Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving. It's like I'm sitting there with a plate full of food, and the gravy boat is across the table, and I don't have any gravy on my food. There's so much gravy in that gravy boat that should be on your plate, and it's just sitting there and you're just staring at it and not asking anyone to hand it to you.
And even if you're not an American, you probably understand that one as well, right?
I think gravy is a
Especially
universally.
when Aunt Patty, yeah, when Aunt Patty cooked it and the turkey's dry. So you really are craving that gravy then.
Don't forget the gravy. Yeah.
That's right.
And but this next piece is where the most gravy is, you guys. I'd say between the deliver and wow and offer more, this next one is
the gravy, the icing, and the cherry on top, right?
Oh man, and a bowl of ice cream at 2 a.m.
Exactly. Getting referrals. Getting referrals is one of my favorite things for a couple of reasons. Because one, it helps happy customers refer new business to you. When they refer that business to you, that person is already sold on you. So it's easier to make that sale because they've gotten personal social proof of that person. So getting referrals from partners or customers is one of the most cost-efficient and easiest ways to find new customers and grow your business. However, we find something that's universally true. Unhappy customers will not send us referrals. So we have to make sure that our customers are happy and who are unhappy before we ask them for referrals, right? So one of the things we want to answer is, how can I find out how my customers are feeling? So one of the things I help people do in the automation world, and you can do this whether it's automated or manual, is taking a minute now to write down in your thing, but doing this with surveys, by sending an email, making a phone call. You know, one of the emails that I set up for one of our clients literally has, let us know how we did. And it has a smiley face, a straight smile, and an unhappy face. So they click on the face. It doesn't have to be complicated. So how can you find out how your customers are feeling about what you've done and what your interaction is? Okay. The next one is, it highlights one of the most overlooked activities that businesses can systematically implement. Once you've asked the customers how they're feeling, you can easily reach out to those who are unhappy and take proactive measures to make them happy. And guess what? They then become your best customers because you solved the problem for them. You cared enough to know that something wasn't right, something didn't work for them, and you made it right. So, and even turn back those frowns and turn them back upside down to smiley faces, right? Often our biggest fans and our best return buyers can be those that we've gone above and beyond for to win them back. Take a couple of minutes now and jot down what can you do to change when somebody's not happy?
That probably doesn't seem like an easy answer on that one.
No, it's a more complicated one, and you may have to put some more thought into it after it. But the good news is you can come back and add some more to it after we're done. Now, the next one is, when they are happy, what about the happy ones? They are the most likely ones to give us referrals, repeat sales, and testimonials. And by the way, testimonials are just as good as referrals sometimes, because they're going to help you get strangers that they don't know yet. So anytime we ask our customers to do something, whether or not they'll actually do it is predicated by how happy they are. So we're going to focus only on the referrals from happy customers. So, and again, that's one of the places in that frowny face, neutral face, happy face, we put down different things. If they're frowny, we make sure that the owner calls them personally and says what's going on. If it's a neutral, they were kind of so-so, they give you a 5 out of 10 kind of thing, then, you know, a salesperson or somebody else can call and say, what could we have done better? And on the happy ones, those are the ones that we just immediately say, can we get a referral or a testimonial? And we can give them links to restaurants. We give them links directly to Yelp, you know, or whatever it is, wherever you want those referrals collected. So jot down what are those? How can you ask for those? And before we change the slide,
Nobody saw it. Nobody saw it.
They were still writing. So are you ready? Are you ready for the most advanced referral strategy that we can offer you? And it's one that's overlooked by 99% of my customers before they're my customers.
It's crazy complicated.
Yep.
I don't know
if
we should show them. I don't know if we should show them.
I don't know. Are you ready? You got your notes so you can jot this one down? Get your cameras out. You might want to take a picture of this one, right?
Yeah, there's a lot to take in on this next one.
Go ahead. Ask for them. And you know, it's funny. Most people just don't do it. Whether it's they feel that they're afraid, they're embarrassed, they're feeling needy or wanting or whatever. When somebody is happy, think about, you know, the saying, we love to give. It's better to give than receive, right? Our clients feel that too. And when you've given them everything you can and made them happy, they are so excited to share and tell other people about it. And it can be as simple as saying, who do you know that can use the same kind of services that you got? Chances are they know somebody. So it's a simple process. So the next question, the dreaded one, how many referrals do we lose each month because we simply don't ask?
Ouch.
Yep.
You all are adding these up, by the way, right? Just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
We're gonna give you a total number in the end, right? You're gonna
have a score.
Yeah. And higher is not better. So if we go back to Gleason Tax that we talked about earlier, Gleason Tax launched a customer referral program where the tax clients automatically get an email asking for referrals. And what do you think happened? They doubled their referrals. That easy, that simple. And it was an automated task. It didn't cost a penny. It didn't cost time. It simply went out and they doubled their referrals. So what would happen to you if your referrals were doubled?
Gravy.
Mm-hmm. All right, Matt, bring us home.
Yeah, well, you know, this may feel like a lot, right? But again, the farmer doesn't plant his cornfields and feed the cows and get the eggs out of the chicken coops all at the same time.
Matt, you know a lot about farming.
That right there is the limit of what I know about farming. But you know, I mean, he can't be everywhere at one place. So some things he automates, but most things he just has to prioritize, right? He's got to figure out, you know, what's the thing you do at 4 a.m. You can't do everything all at once. So that's what's important. You know, now that we've gone through each of the 9 stages of this customer life cycle as they relate to your business, you really should now be equipped, at least at a basic level, to start to take the next steps. Now, while this is a powerful approach, so you can better understand where opportunity lies in your business, it's important to start really simple, guys. Start simple and maintain momentum by continuously refining this stuff and really continuously tweaking how you see your ideal customer's life cycle, right? Because it's not going to stay the same forever, and you're not going to get it right the first time or even the 10th time, and that's okay. Like, be okay. Give yourself permission to suck a little bit in this, but start simple and maintain consistency. That's what's really important. Be sure you're learning along the way. But if we go check back in with our friend Jeanette one more time, a little more background for you guys. First of all, about Jeanette, she was a stay-at-home mom, and her husband's front office person at the tax consulting business left, and Jeanette decided it was time to come work in the business, right? So she'd heard about Lifecycle marketing, what we're teaching you here today, and so she started to do the same work that you're doing today, you guys. She kept it really simple. She did one thing at a time. She spent the time mapping out a plan and sticking with it and being consistent. Before long, you guys, like, really, Jeanette's and her husband's business was taking off like a rocket, out of control. She's now speaking and doing all this really, really cool, amazing, huge stuff. But I mean, look at the results. Before she did this, she was spending 15 grand a month on marketing. 15 grand a month. That's a lot. Or maybe it's not a lot to you. But anyway, they were averaging about 3,200 leads a month, 150 email addresses out of that. You can see the numbers here. They had 438 clients, 75 are financial clients. And they had essentially 4 staff. They had Joe, 1 employee, and then 2 tax preparers. Well, now after they got to a place where they were spending only $500 a month on their marketing, $7,000, they almost doubled, more than doubled, their leads. Insane increase on the number of email addresses they were collecting. And they've almost doubled their tax clients, doubled their financial clients, and they now have a staff of about 10 people, probably more today. But these are the kinds of results that when you start simple and you focus and you're proactive and intentional about this stuff and you're consistent, you continue to employ the plans that you put in place, and you continue to refine those plans, and you continue to put new systems and new methods in place just by simply going through this exercise, question by question, just asking and answering those questions often with your team on a regular basis, so you can really have clarity around your unique customer life cycle and how you can better deliver for your clients and really get the biggest bang for your buck out of everything you're doing with your financial and time investments in your business. So this is the part, you guys, everyone awake? All right, good.
Yeah.
Because this is the part right here. This is where indecision can eat you alive. And it will, only like every time. You really have to commit right now. Draw your line in the sand. Put your flag in the sand, if you will, right? You got to ante up, place your bet, and regardless of the hand you've been dealt, I don't care what your situation is today. I empathize, but there's no excuses. You got to start with the stages that are closest to cash in this, right? So be thinking about where you got the greatest opportunity. It's likely it's in re-engaging unconverted leads or putting a referral process together so you can drive and proactively ask for referrals. But you, of course, need to understand who your happy clients are first. That's an example of somewhere you might start, but really understanding where you're at and where the greatest opportunity lies and where you can get the biggest bang for your buck most quickly, right? Don't plan, seriously, guys, don't plan a 6-month, like, okay, in 6 months, we're going to be launching this thing.
Yeah,
oh,
no.
No.
Less
we're talking
than 30
like,
days.
yeah, we're talking like next week, guys.
Exactly.
Seriously, totally doable. And that's the thing. These things need to produce the fastest potential returns, because you get that little win. You're going to, your ego is going to pat itself on the back a little bit, and it's going to drive you to do more of this, right? So what I want you to do right now is, of the 9 stages and the different things that we covered in each of those, I want you to just write out 3 things that we covered today that you can start doing now, right? And if you feel like if you're like getting short of breath as you're writing down the second thing, keep it reasonable, right? Because these need to attach to your goals as a business, which should be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time bound. And that can feel overwhelming and like a lot of pressure. So be kind to yourself in this, but also realize that Jamie and I are going to hold you accountable to everything you do in your business moving forward.
Absolutely.
No pressure.
No.
So go ahead and write those 3 things down now, and continue to think about them if you need to. But something we've mentioned a few times, you may have noticed we talked about automation throughout this. And we'd be remiss if we didn't tell you a little bit more about how you can automate these things in your own business. And some of the things here may feel a little familiar, right? So our favorite tool for helping small businesses do this stuff is Keap, okay, or Infusionsoft. And here's why, right? This is all going to look a little familiar because it helps you to organize your client info. Remember your spreadsheet or our friends with the shoebox of leads. It helps you to always follow up, right? Remember that 5 touch points in order to close a sale. Ouch. And with that, helps you close more leads, automate your daily work, helps you to get paid, and oh my gosh, wow your clients,
Wow, exactly.
right?
And ask for those darn referrals.
Ask for them, ask for them. You know, that's all of this. This is the customer life cycle and the way that we automate around those different stages. And you can start small with that. So yeah, Jamie you got a hookup for us on this, I
Yeah,
believe.
absolutely. I worked with Keap and said, hey, my folks that have not got it already, I want to let them try it out. So we've got a trial for you. So if you go to bit.ly/ and by the way, bit.ly is one of those that you do have to use the capital letters where they are. So copy that down, take a screenshot. As a matter of fact, it'll be in some of the follow-up emails that you'll get. But that is a great way to get a trial of the new Keap. It's the Keap Grow, which is the starter program. And one of the complaints people have had about Keap in the past was about Infusionsoft in the past was the price point. And you're going to love the price point on Keap. So it's very reasonable and less than most people expect. So go ahead and try that. So with that pretty much ends what we're doing today. Matt, I want to thank you. Have you guys had fun? Was this informative? Something that you'd like us to do again? Good. Well, with that, Chris and I have taken some different direction in some of the stuff we do. Of course, we still do time for money and help people with custom programs that we're building. But we've started a group program we're calling the Digital Marketing Box. We all love subscription boxes, right? Whether it's Birchbox or the Fruit of the Month Club or whatever it is, we now have the Digital Marketing Box of the month. So we are excited that we have about 16 topics already identified that we're going to start speaking to. And every month you're going to get a workshop. You're going to get a mini course that you can do. You're going to get downloadable PDFs, things that are out there. There is group coaching available. There is customized where we show you a program like here's a webinar automation program, and we'll literally populate your Keap with the templates and things. So we can do that. And if you want to check it out, use this bit.ly link. Again, I'll have some follow-up emails that'll come back to you. It starts at less than $28 a month. Talk about that accountability we were talking about, Matt.
Yeah.
That's something that you just can't pass up. So if that's something of interest, we would love to have you as part of it. It is launching February 1st. And our first topic is really an audit of where you're at and where you need to go. So it'll be baby steps every month of what the next steps are that you need to take your business to the next level. So Matt, thank you so much for what we did. We got this in. Look, we have 2 minutes left. So we said 2 hours and we are at 1 hour and 58 minutes. We got tons of information. If you guys have questions, feel free to ask them now or to send me a email, and I'll be happy to help and answer those as well. Matt, I thank you for your time. As you said, time is valuable, and the fact that you gave 2 hours of your time to me and to all of us today, I really want to thank you for. It was amazing.
This is super fun stuff for me. You know, if you talk about my deliver in wow, if my own little business within a business, this is the stuff that I love doing. So this is my deliver and wow right here, and I hope that you guys got more than I intended to bring, and if you did, it's probably Jamie's fault. But you know, this really is what we're all about. You know, Jamie can attest to this, and you know, our partner community as a company, a Keap. Yeah, we do software, but like our purpose as a company is to help small businesses succeed. Our mission is to help simplify growth for millions of small businesses all around the world. And it's a huge you know, commitment that we've got. And, you know, we've all, like Jamie said in the beginning, we've all come from small business. We all, you know, work very intimately with small businesses, and we understand that the fabric of our world economically and even culturally, and at the family level, is the foundation is small business. So we're passionate about coming and helping you guys really do the things that you do best, and to focus on the areas that are going to get you the best results, to help you to grow and provide the life and the vision that you dream about, right? And that may sound
Exactly.
kind of cheesy, but that's where my heart is every day, is if I can help one person to be able to breathe a little bit better.
Ours
And
as well. Yeah. And the thing I love about that, Matt, is by us changing the lives of people on our call today, they turn around and change lives of all of their people, and it's just amplified over and over again. So that's how we all make a difference in the world. So thank you.
so wonderful. Well, thanks
Good.
for having me. And yeah, we'll do more of this, and keep you guys rocking.
Absolutely. So thank you all. Again, send me a message if you have any questions, if you've gotten stuck on something. We're going to hold you accountable, especially in that group. We're going to have some accountability stuff going on. So join us. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.